There might not be a crossover making more headway these days than the Nissan Rogue. It's quietly gone from an afterthought to in demand, climbing the sales charts to crack the top 5 best-selling CUVs on the market. With a mild refresh introduced for 2017, Nissan's hoping enough's been done to the Rogue to continue its upward trajectory. And we just so happen to have a special Star Wars edition of the updated Rogue with us today. So the first thing you'll notice about this redesigned Rogue is the design, and that's about all that's new for 2017. It's a really mild refresh. So it's got a new version of Nissan's V-Motion grille, some new bumpers front and back, new headlights, but other than that, it is the same Rogue that they introduced in 2013. That's not a bad thing. I mean, it's a pretty handsome crossover, but don't expect wholesale change here. The thing is, those changes that were made makes the Rogue look even more like a baby Pathfinder than before, which I'm totally okay with. I think it's really attractive. It might not be the most attractive crossover on the market, but it's pretty damn close. When it comes to the Rogue One edition that we're driving, the Rogue gets some stickers and badges so that you can let the world know just how much of a Star Wars nerd you really are. It also comes with a bunch of black trim and different bits that make it stand out from the rest of the Rogues on the road, but there's nothing really substantial to it. I mean, the grille's been blacked out, some of the trim's been blacked out, the black wheels. I mean, I would have liked to see something that really made it pop, especially considering this is a couple grand to add on to a Rogue SV. Open the doors, and the Rogue One edition also gets some Star Wars logos on the inside and some unique interior lighting, but otherwise this is just a plain old SV trim, which means there's a lot to be desired. It's pretty basic. Yeah, it's got push button start and a backup camera, but that's about it. It's got these fabric seats that aren't so great, a lot of hard touch plastic materials throughout. There's nothing really exciting about the cabin. Same goes for this infotainment system. It's pretty bare bones. It doesn't even have a touchscreen. It does, however, offer satellite radio, which is a nice bonus, but unlike the Honda CR-V, which has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, this thing is pretty basic. Some of the materials have been improved. This center console design is new. It's a lot more attractive than before, even if the materials aren't so great. The same goes for the seats. The material's not great, but they're pretty comfortable. Same thing goes for rear seat legroom. It's pretty impressive. Tons of room for a family if you want to have kids back there. The seats also can be moved forward for more cargo room or further back if you need more legroom in the second row. There's also a decent amount of cargo room in the back. It's got 32 cubic feet with both rows of seats upright and 70 cubic feet with the second row folded. It also has Nissan's divide and hide cargo system, which means you get what are basically shelves that can divide the storage system into smaller areas or taller areas depending on what you need to transport. It's a pretty neat feature, and it also comes standard in this SV model. But on to the drive, which is about what you'd expect from the Rogue. Nothing about the powertrain is new for 2017, which means the same 2.5 liter 4-cylinder carries over under the hood. It's good for a respectable 170 horsepower and 175 pound-feet of torque. But what isn't respectable is the Rogue's continuously variable transmission. I'm generally not a fan of them, but this one is particularly bad, especially when you compare it to other CVTs from Nissan, like the one in the Maxima. It's just really whiny and sounds like a cat in heat when you hit the accelerator pedal, and personally I think they could have done a lot better. Thankfully, the Rogue's cabin is pretty quiet otherwise. Not a whole lot of road noise makes it into the cabin until the road gets really bumpy. And as for the way it rides, the Rogue definitely doesn't feel quite as refined as the new CR-V, but it's a decent drive overall. It's a little stiff and truck-like, but it's not too bad and does pretty well at absorbing bumps and road imperfections. The Rogue also benefits from a variable steering ratio that feels lighter at lower speeds. The whole package comes together pretty well. I mean, it's solid but not spectacular. It's not going to impress anyone, but it's not going to let you down either. With updated looks and little else, the 2017 Rogue is unlikely to unseat the segment-leading CR-V anytime soon. However, it is a sound choice if you're in the market for a mid-size crossover that'll get you where you need to go with little fuss.